Are you doing intro or me? Testing. What's up?
gentlemen, for the Fringe FM, coming at you live from the middle of nowhere, the center of everywhere, here once again to give you yet another scrumptious dose of conversational boogie. This is Shift Happens. That's right. We're back. We're back. What's happening, everybody? And, alright, hold on 1 second, JP. Quick shout out to Queen out there in the chat room. Oh, you know what? Can you hear me, JP? No, I was just saying, yeah, okay. And, alright, good deal. What's up, Queen? Long time no see. And what's up, everybody in the chat room? Sylvan, Daryl, Dragon Rose, IPD, James Salcedo, Apocalypse. What is happening? Good to see you. We've got one hell of a show for you tonight. I forgot to ask how to pronounce it earlier, but we do have JJ, founder of, I'm going to call it Reine de Blanc. I'm sure I'll be corrected in just a few minutes here. And we've got all kinds of directions we can go to tonight. Real quick, do follow us on Twitter over at Shift Happens Pod. And you can follow me, Gigi, over at GGRabbit1. And really just go to shifthappensradio.com. All of our social media links and all that good stuff, our episode archives, and everything that you could possibly want from Shift Happens is over there at shifthappensradio.com. And also joining us as per usual is our trusty handy-dandy co-host, JP. What's happening, JP?
What's going on, Gigi? Yeah, there's something is off. I'm not hearing the audio like I normally do. It's not up in my ears. It's like very far away. And I feel like I'm in the same room with you, but I'm not. But I'm glad to be here. I don't know what that is. There's something not pressed. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it could be. There could be a thing.
I'm definitely glad to be here, though. It's Friday, and here we go. Holiday seasons are upon us, and yeah. Oh, you just got checked.
I just got checked. It's Reine de Blanc. Absolutely.
Red.
Yeah. And but yeah.
That's right.
And I'm sure you've all seen her on Twitter. I know a lot of you guys have. We've got a lot of mutual friends on there, and so there you go. But so yeah, you just got done doing quite a bit of traveling, didn't you, JP?
A little bit of traveling. Yeah, I just out Arizona, but that was the 9th trip I've taken in the last 11 months. So it's been a busy year for travel for me. I set out to go on one road trip a month for the entire year, and doggone it, I got to 9, and I feel pretty good. It started on New Year's of this year, first day of the year, and didn't really slow down too much. Some weren't road trips, though. Some were flights, but most part, I think I did 6 of those were road trips. So yeah, quite a great way to end the year, going to see my sister and yeah, checking out this new pen I got. It's real fun.
And didn't you buy some property in Texas? Was that a thing that happened?
That's the thing. It's just a piece of land, so if anybody has any shortcuts on how to build a home. I've heard so many incredible people now. There's people building homes for under $10,000. I don't know how it's done, but there's a guy that does these. And so anyways, I'm looking for the best solution to open land. And that's something I'll work on in 2023. That's one of my resolutions. So I did what I said this year. Let's see if I can keep it up rolling into next year. I'm on a streak.
So are you planning on moving to that property permanently, or you got some other plans for it?
I love East Texas, but this is east. This is way down there, in the middle of nowhere, kind of like our show, right? Center of everything.
Is it kind of by Orange, Texas?
I don't know what that is, but it's Lake Livingston's the largest lake in all of Texas, or at least the largest man-made lake. So it is impressive. It's really cool. It's just so far out of the way, and it's close to Houston. I think it's like a 2-hour drive from Houston straight.
Okay.
East. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty close to Orange, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
And right on. Good deal. Good deal. And let's see. Our associate producer Brad was going to be here tonight, but he had some stuff come up, so he gives his hellos. And want to thank Brad for hooking up this show tonight, as one associate producer does. So thank you,
No
Brad.
more excuses, Brad. No more excuses.
And but yeah, I'll tell you what, folks, we got a really cool month lined up for you here on Shift Happens.
Starting with tonight.
Absolutely. And plus we had Casper on last week. I guess that really kicked off the month. And fantastic show that was. And now we've got JJ tonight. And then next week is our 6th year to the day anniversary of Shift Happens. It's the first time in 6 years that the anniversary date has fallen on a show day. And to celebrate that, not only is it Brad's birthday, our associate producer, but we're also going to have the very first guest that we ever had on that day 6 years ago, my good friend, the great Rev John Polk. He will be joining us next week for that show. It's going to be a special show. And we might, and we're going to try to get all the past members of Shift Happens to chime in at some point as well, and have a little reunion, if you will, and that should be fun. And then the week after that, on the 23rd, we've got a double guest show. We're going to have Laura Eisenhower along with Drew Banking. We're going to do that on the 23rd to celebrate, what better way to prepare you for Christmas than Laura Eisenhower and Drew Banky at the same time. So That's going to be fantastic. And then we've got a surprise show for you on the 30th. Surprise guest, surprise awesomeness, which is, of course, the day before New Year's Eve. And so there you go. We got some good stuff coming up.
I don't know what this is, but I'm just not hearing you. It's like, it's strange. It's very strange sound. There's there's no filtering from your mic. I don't think your microphone is picking you up. If I were to guess. And you're talking.
We're just going to have to simply bear with us, folks, because I'm going to have to go into settings here. And no wonder. Yeah. You've got the Skype did an update.
There we go. We got you now.
Skype did an update right before the show without even asking me. So, although the audience has been able to hear me just fine, rather, Skype has not. Okay, so that fixes everything right there. So we're good now, right, JP?
This is where we should have been from the beginning.
Absolutely. And you know what? I've done many rants about how much I hate Skype before on this show, and so I guess I don't need to do another one, but you know where I stand. And Skype can suck it. But whatever, we got to use it for now, mostly for the call-in system situation. But anyway, also coming up, folks, it's about time. Jesus Moses, Bob Tuscan. Every episode he asks, "Is this live?" Yes.
I don't know. Is it?
Yes, it's live.
I wasn't sure until you fixed your microphone.
It's always live. Bob, typing that in the chat room. Which, by the way, real quick, so we do have a couple of chat rooms for the show. Anybody? I know we got some new listeners tonight. I can already see some of them in both the chat rooms. And so there's a couple of chat rooms options. First of which is over at Spreaker. Easiest way to get there, it's real simple. Just go to shifthappensradio.com, scroll down to the middle of the homepage. There's an episode player, and right by the yellow play button, look to the right, there's a little text message icon, little speech bubble icon. Click that, bam, you're in there. And then the other way is at the Fringe FM official Discord server. And to get there, just go to your web browser, type in www.fringe.fm and /chat. And then bam, you get an automatic invite into the Fringe FM Discord. But I warn you now, if you are not tech savvy, Discord there's quite a learning curve there. So if you just want to get in and hang out with everybody else in the audience and you don't want to have to learn a whole new program, just do the first method over at shifthappensradio.com. But if you are familiar with Discord, that's really the coolest place to be, is over there. It's a great way to get your questions in for us and the guest and all that good stuff. And later on the show, we will be opening up the phone lines as well. And probably in the last segment, I would imagine. And but we'll see how it goes. And also, I think one last thing before we bring our guest on here is it's about time to start thinking about the one, the only, the Conscious Life Expo. That's right, the biggest conference of the year when it comes to this community. It's over at the Hilton LAX in Los Angeles, right just a shot down the street from the LAX airport, obviously, hence the name. And as always, we will be giving away a couple of passes coming up next month once we have Serena Wright Taylor and her husband Doug, who help run the UFO side of that conference. And so definitely look forward to that. And if you plan on going, you might want to start looking into hotel rooms right now, because they usually sell out within a month or two before. So this is, if you want to go to Conscious Life, make sure to start looking into hotel rooms, start booking your flights. The sooner the cheaper. The sooner the cheaper. And I believe we will be giving away 2 passes coming up next month. So get your fingers crossed for that too. So, and yeah.
I just got to drop one quick thing, just because I love my fans out here, and there's like none. But if you want a good product, you got to just go to my website. I'm just going to drop the link. It's called hemppasteguy.com. Go check out the products, but don't buy anything. Come to me first. Next week, I'll have coupons for you. I have coupons now, so if you have any questions, contact me. I'll get hemppasteguy.com. Check it out.
All right, yeah, make sure you put that in the chat room, too.
I will.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and with all of that tomfoolery out of the way, without any further ado, without any further gilding to the lily, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's guest is JJ of Reine de Blanc brand. She is an artist and metalsmith, originally from northwestern New Jersey, but has lived in many places across the U.S. She's been an experiencer of all things strange since she can remember. Her, quote, strange includes lucid dreaming, astral projection, precognitive / premonition dreams, sleep paralysis, encounters with various beings and spirits, and she seems to have extra abilities of sorts. Some people call it psychic, but she calls it extra. She believes she is likely a MyLab subject due to nocturnal abduction-like experiences and her family being involved in the military and secret space / aeronautics technology fields, as well as secret societies and notable family lineages. She does not think she is special at all, just perhaps a bit different, and she never takes herself too seriously. She's got all kinds of links to podcasts she's been on and her Instagram and her Twitter account. It's all over there at Shift Happens Radio on the guest info page. And with that, let's welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, JJ. What's happening, JJ?
Hey. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
It's
thanks
great to be
for
here. I got to
coming.
give a shout out to our buddy Brad for hooking it
Absolutely.
up.
Brad usually
Absolutely.
does. Yeah,
He is the best. He
he
is
is.
the
He's
very
great.
best.
He's awesome.
Yeah. And yeah, he was supposed to be here, but things come up. He's got a family. He works like 17 different jobs. So
Do you know him through podcasting or?
I know him through Twitter, and then
Right on.
I think our encounter was from possibly Beyond the Strange or something to do with it, and then he contacted me about my jewelry, so
Which
that's
is
where it all went through.
incredible. I took a look at your Twitter. It's like, I think it's pinned at the top. I was like, whoa, I got to talk to you about this later. So, yeah, I'm into that. I like it a lot. It looks really cool.
Thank you. Thanks.
What's the history of that, by the way? Do you, like, I know you probably have a lot of other background stuff, but I'm so curious. Maybe you can work that in at some point and like tell
I
us.
will.
Okay. I won't throw you off your.
and so
Oh no, it's okay. I can tell you now real quick if it's
Whatever works.
since
Go
we're
for
here. So I'm an artist. I've been doing all kinds of different stuff for years, and I started taking metalsmithing as an elective class in art school, and my major was photography. And I completely derailed after taking one class of metalsmithing because I was already sort of making beaded jewelry and whatnot. So that was the beginning of the love affair. It's been 31 years now since I started making it.
Nice.
Thank you.
And what's been the best? Like, I'm sure you've tried all the platforms for getting, like, moving your merchandise. What have you found to be like the best way, the most effective way to sell your things?
Honestly, it's been Instagram.
Wow, that's what I've heard.
I had Etsy, and I had a couple of primitive websites in the past. I have my own website now that works really well, but I drive all of the sales pretty much from Instagram and now Twitter in the last, I don't know how long. I guess it's been close to 4 years now.
Nice.
all right. And so I'm curious, like you say in your bio, you're an experiencer of all things strange, and you certainly cover a lot of topics. I'm curious, what was the very first, in that sense, strange experience that you had, like the first thing that ever happened to you, or that maybe you saw that sort of clicked on that metaphorical light bulb to where you're like, oh, there's a lot more to this world than I've been told. What was that very first thing that really sparked your fire?
It cracked me open.
Yeah.
Well, I've always had a lot of vivid dreams and nightmares and all of that my whole life since I was a kid, and things started amping up for me. I mean, I would see, it was mostly nocturnal stuff happening to me, but I would say just around the age of 15, I had a crazy, I guess it was some kind of out-of-body experience at that time that really messed me up for a while. It disturbed me so much. I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was losing my mind or having a breakdown or something. It's kind of a bit of a long story, and I think we've got a couple minutes here before our break, but in a nutshell, I woke up. I was having a sleep paralysis type situation going on where I couldn't get my eyes open, but I felt awake, and my body was paralyzed, and I could hear scurrying around in my room. This was nighttime, and I barely got my eyes open. I could see around the room, and I could see my digital clock. This was years ago. And so I took a mental note of the time, and at the bottom of my bed, I saw something scurrying around. I'm struggling to keep my eyes open and look and get myself awake, but I just can't move. And I see these three beings at the end of the bed that looked like your typical gray.
Okay.
And they were different heights, and they were just at the end of the bed staring at me. And then a whole bunch of other stuff ensued after that, and I was really just completely shaken for probably at least 3 days. I didn't know what to make of it.
Wow. So did you? Just in a couple of seconds here, did you tell like your family or any of your friends, or did you just kind of keep it to yourself?
I did try to discuss it with my parents, but they just thought I had another nightmare or something.
Okay. And so do they take you? Did they take you seriously now? Like how do they feel about?
Yeah, that's a funny thing. It's recently.
Oh yeah, I was just curious if they at first did they actually discourage you away from those thoughts and all that, or?
Oh yeah. Oh, you're just having another terrible nightmare. You and your crazy dreams. I mean, it wasn't mean. It was just dismissive because I'm sure they just didn't understand what was going on.
Right.
So that made me feel like I was not going to discuss anything again.
Okay, and I wonder if, well, I'll tell you what, we got to go ahead and take our first commercial break here. So let's go ahead and get that done. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Shift Happens here for the Fringe FM. I'm your host, Gigi, along with our co-host, JP.
Yeah.
And we're here with JJ of Reine de Blanc. And we'll be back here in just a few short commercially minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Pure Health Defenders, proud sponsor of Shift Happens, producing organic and natural health, wellness, and technology products for people, pets, and plants to thrive alive. Pure Health Defenders, also known as PhD, is powered by C7 technology, scalar energy, atomic technology, and fueled by Sea Miracle Superfoods. 118 nutrients of the purest sea vegetables Mother Earth has to offer. Recognized 100% by people, pets, and plants, delivering the value the same. Everybody deserves a PhD. Be smart about it. Come join the healthiest family today.
Tired of talking about the weather? No shift. Well, Shift Happens is here to fulfill your desires as you reach that point in life where you crave tantalizing conversation about reality, ufology, the occult, and the conspiracies within, while simultaneously finding yourself desperately in need of your very own theme music, which we've got plenty of that too. So be sure to tune in to Shift Happens every Friday night from 7 to 9 Pacific, right here on the Fringe FM. Because the weather sucks, and you need some theme music.
Musicians experience a lot of frustration with music marketing and promotion. They have no idea how to get their music heard, and they're spending hours sending emails, making phone calls, and hitting up their friends to promote them. With our industry-powered digital marketing platform, we can set up your media plan in minutes. Our team will automatically distribute your music across all the best channels, so you can focus on actually making the music. Submit your music today on our website at mymusicpromoter.com. That's mymusicpromoter.com.
Thousands of people are having paranormal experiences with ghosts, demons, shadow people, dogmen, Bigfoot, and more. Their stories need to be told, and they are being told. Dark Waters, the renowned storyteller, invites you to join at IamDarkWaters.com. For just a few dollars a month, you can listen to some of the most hair-raising and compelling stories on the planet. You'll have access to real-life stories told by Dark Waters, thousands of hours of content. Their encounters are being told, and told by the best, at IamDarkWaters.com. Listen to stories like The Rabbit Man, the Dogman encounter in Silas, Alabama, The Man with No Face, The Other Woman, A Day Ahead of the Devil, Dogman Murder in Hurricane Ida, even a story of someone trying to kill a dogman. Louisiana Water Demon stories. Sign up today and become a member at IamDarkWaters.com. That's IamDarkWaters.com.
Have you suffered in silence or experienced stress from a paranormal experience? Even if it happened 20 years ago, when thinking or talking about it today still makes you feel sick to your stomach or makes your heart beat faster, or you suddenly can't breathe. Maybe you even feel those old familiar signs of a panic attack trying to reach the surface. You could have unprocessed emotional responses. Those reactions of terror and trauma are no different than living through a horrible assault, childhood abuse, or a terrible car accident. It can be nearly impossible to find help. The very instance of seeing a ghost or encountering a cryptid could be clinically described as seeing or hearing things that aren't there. You could be considered psychotic, or at best, you're just not taken seriously. Out of a growing mountain of research, the National Institute for Integrative Healthcare showed that 8 out of 10 veterans who completed just 6 one-hour EFT sessions no longer tested positive for PTSD. If you've had paranormal trauma, you can contact Metaphorical Archaeology by calling 214-995-3754. Again, that's 214-995-3754 for a discreet consultation.
What are you doing late nights? Join me, Jess Rogie, the host of The Jess Rogie Show. We have a new show title and a new time slot. Become part of the show by calling in and joining in on the conversation. We'll discuss a wide variety of topics, including everything from consciousness, conspiracies, current events, fringe topics, pop culture, and so much more. Let's see where the night takes us. Join us live 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. Pacific, 2 a.m. Eastern. Right after Lighting the Void with Joe Roop on KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
I came to LA to make rock and roll. Along the way I had to sell my soul. I made some good friends that make me say I really wanna be in LA. I took the 10 to get to Beverly, laid some rock to tape, roll at 180. Alan and Natasha always make me say I really wanna be in LA.
Back! Yes! Ladies and gentlemen, from the Fringe FM, this is Shift Happens. I'm your host, Gigi, along with our co-host, JP.
Funny thing happened, Gigi, this week. I heard that song on local college radio.
Nice.
I had not heard it before on the radio.
Yeah, oh, it's one of their best. Well, I mean, it's a good one. They've got all kinds of great songs. I love those guys. Yeah. Eagles of Death Metal. For life. Absolutely. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, okay, Queen. I'll figure out. So Queen's asking about Dark Waters. Yeah, he was in the French FM for a while, but I think he went off and did his own thing. But I'll I'll figure out where he went, and I'll try to send that to you. But yeah, Dark Waters is cool stuff, man. He's got some really cool stories, and he's a great storyteller. And it's not his stories. He tells paranormal stories from other folks that reach out to him, and then he tells the stories for them. It's actually a really cool show. We've had him on the show before, several years ago. But it's been a long time.
I used to love it.
Yeah,
it was
Dark
great.
Waters. Good people. Good people.
Okay.
Yeah, all that stuff. All that stuff. And, I don't know about you, JP, but I could use a little caffeination. What do you think?
Dude, I'm telling you, I am fresh out, all out, and I need some coffee. I have coffee, and there's one way we can get it. I know how to get it.
How's that, JP?
You got to go to buymeacoffee.com, right?
Buymeacoffee.com/shift happens.
That's step one. Yeah, step two would be to add shift happens to the end of that. Buymeacoffee.com / or whatever, shift happens, I think.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I can never get enough of that, and it's a good way to support us. And if you are down for a quick donation, that is the place. I think that's the only thing we really do is just get us coffee. We work on barter. It's kind of a barter system, right? We do that.
Yeah,
we talk. It's coffee.
Yeah, if you want to buy us a coffee, just go to buymeacoffee.com/shift happens, and every coffee you buy us keeps us caffeinated and going, and it helps support the show. And a certain percentage of that donation also goes to cleaning up the environment via various organizations that are all associated with buymeacoffee.com, whether it's getting plastic out of the ocean or clean up what have you. And
resin out water pipes.
Yeah, and because we're no longer accepting PayPal because PayPal is doing some really sketchy shift. And
down with.
And thanks for everybody that has bought us coffee over the last few shows. We've been getting a lot of coffee donations, and we really appreciate that. And thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Actually, that's awesome. Appreciate it.
And also, one of the commercials you just heard was for Pure Health Defenders, the makers of C7 Tech and C Miracle. C Miracle being a sea vegetable-based superfood supplement that is so damn good for you. And they also make C7 Tech, which is a bit of technology that there's a little chip that's implanted into a little wristband, or you can get it on earrings. They have watches that have it in there. In fact, I actually have a chip on my cat's collar that she wears. And what it does is it uses scalar energy and atomic technology to realign the blood flow. And it really works. If me and Cortana both did the thermal imaging before, during, and after, and you can see the results live. And we need to post the videos of that. We've got those somewhere. It's really amazing stuff. And if you want to get any of these products, go to purehealthdefenders.com. Use the promo code SHIFTHAPPENS, and you will save yourself 50% off. Plus,
Boom.
You get a lifetime money-back guarantee and free shipping. It's an absolute no-bullshit policy. If you don't like it, you can give it back, and they give your money right back. But I guarantee you'll love it. I've been wearing my C7 Tech on my wrist right here ever since 2018. It's fallen off one time for about 10 seconds. Other than that, and then sometimes at the airport they make me take it off. But that's about it. I've been wearing it this whole time. So, Greg Prom is the guy that runs that company, and we're going to have him back on pretty soon here, in fact. So, check it out. PureHealthDefenders.com, promo code ShiftHappens. Get there while you can. Status!
Everything bagels are the best, Pat. You should know that. It is an amazing treat for the mouth.
Oh, speaking of which... Actually, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. But let's just say you might be getting a cool gift this Christmas, JP.
Whoa! That would be a first. But can we get back to JJ, please? Let's do this.
Yes, we can. So I do want to get back to the JJ if you're there. So we're, you mentioned the three. You described them as sort of typical gray alien beings. Did they? Did you just see them, or did anything happen on top of that? Did they take you anywhere? Did you get a download experience? Okay, well, let's hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot happened actually. So at that point, after seeing them, my eyes were forced shut again, and I started I felt like I was floating above the bed, and I could get my eyes open, and I could see that I was actually floating above the bed. And then I guess this was a long time ago, so I'm trying to recall the details, but they took me out of there. I went somewhere with them where they showed me Earth from a distance. So it's like high above the Earth, way out in space, I guess, and looking at the planet. And they were showing me sort of a movie in my head and talking to me sort of telepathically and showing what happened to the Earth, I guess millions of years ago, where it had a twin planet and it smashed into the Earth. And they were, I guess, just telling me some of the history of the planet. And then I got sucked back down into my bed, into my body, and was still experiencing this sort of sleep paralysis state. And I feel like they pushed me onto the floor, and I could get my eyes open sort of intermittently, and I saw these green glowing rocks. It looked like rocks on the floor, and I was trying to grab them, and they were trying to get me back up into the bed. And so at that point, I was back in bed, and then I was able to move again and look around, and it was over. They were gone. There was nothing. It was quiet. I could see the clock, and it seemed like a couple of hours had passed. So it was a really crazy experience, and no one seemed to have heard anything when I asked about it the next day.
Interesting. So did you feel, I mean, I know you mentioned, well, let me just ask, overall, did you feel it was at the end of it all, were you happy? Like, were you excited that you had the experience, or were you more shaken?
Oh, I was terrified. I really thought I had a full-on breakdown. I thought there was something really wrong with me.
And you were, I believe you said you were 15 when this
right,
happened?
and I'm 49 now.
Okay. And so that was your first like real sort of like, okay, this world is not what it seems. That was your first experience with that. Okay.
Yep, that was the first notable encounter that I had.
Have you
So this is like around 1986-ish or something? 87?
Something like that. That sounds right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gigi. I cut you off.
Oh, no. Well, I'm just... So have you had similar experiences since then? And if you have, were you more accustomed to it the next time it happened? Or was it just as shaky?
It happened several times after that. It sort of escalated in the house, and there was a night where I heard my parents screaming in their room, and not in a fun way. They were just screaming bloody murder basically, and I had asked them again, and nothing, no idea, and so I had these experiences for years, and the sleep paralysis continued and got worse. And I could sort of get into having some waking experiences, or where I was actually awake and sort of travel, astral traveling, projecting, whatever we want to call it. It's all kind of a blurred line for me because of all of the different levels of dreaming and consciousness that I've been in. So it's kind of, I don't know what else to call it, but I guess it's what we call it. So I was living in Manhattan again in 2018, and I started having these really intense experiences with the meditation. I had been sort of going into these trance meditations that I had never done before, and doing everything in a darkened room. And so I'm doing my thing, I'm relaxed, I'm really, in a meditative state. I get into a trance, and then suddenly I open my eyes. I don't know if it's actually that they were physically open or if I, was just seeing in my mind. But I could see around me, and I was not in my bedroom anymore. And I was sitting on what seemed to be a desert floor in nighttime. And I looked up, and there were all these stars in front of me. And I could sort of see the silhouettes of maybe some mountains or hills. And in front of me was this circle of giant statues that looked like a Sphinx type statue, where they had, it looked like maybe a lion or a cat body, but their heads looked more Sumerian. They had beards and, I don't know, some kind of headpiece on or something like that. So I'm looking around, and I'm just kind of blown away by this, being transported to this other place. And I see this glow up above me, and I look up, and there's a binary system above me, and I guess they're stars, and they're spinning and rotating. They're in orbit with each other, and I'm just looking at it, just totally dazzled, because it's like this glittery gold light coming down. And so I'm looking around, and suddenly I see this sort of grid-shaped thing come out of the ground in front of me, and it's getting really huge, and it's sort of bending and twisting and flexing around. And it looks almost like a video game. It looks like Tron or something, the way the grid is sort of lit up. It's like a purple blue. And I'm watching it, and it starts folding into itself. And I started to realize, well, at least I thought so, that it was showing me something about time and how time folds into itself. And I got so overwhelmed that I just couldn't hold it there. I couldn't stay in that place. I got instantly sucked out back into my body, back into my room, and I was just blown away because I wasn't on anything. I didn't take any drugs. I didn't drink. It was I
don't mean to cut you off, but it reminds me of a time when I went outside and looked up in the sky, and I described something very similar, just a massive grid that was very like video game looking, and I stared at it, and but the big difference was that I had eaten some mushrooms, so sort of experience, I think, in my case. So.
Let's see. So this is what I was talking about before, about being leery about taking psychedelics and stuff, because I've already had some way out there,
on par with psychedelia all the way.
Right. So that was it with that experience. And then I continued to have some very similar encounters after that, which I can go into if you want, if we have time.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm wondering, do you have any siblings? That
I do. I have an older brother. He's about 7.5 years older than me.
Did he have any sort of? Is he into any of this stuff that we're talking about tonight? Do you
No.
have any? No.
No, not at all.
So you're kind of like the black sheep of the
Oh,
family
totally.
in that sense. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah, so am I. Well, actually, me and my sister both, but we have a massive family.
Cool.
But okay, and let's see. Somebody had a question in the chat room earlier. Well, anyway,
it's the one about gaps. It was about the gaps in time in between experiences, or was that?
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
I guess I can read.
So they want to know how long it was, or?
Yeah, like in between your first experiences when you were like 15, and then like throughout your life, like I guess what are the big major gaps in time between experiences?
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I thought you meant.
Or were there any? Also, were there any? Like any sort of how do I say this? Were there all the different times that these similar experiences happened? Did you notice any certain order of events that led up to it that were similar, that led up to the same event the next time? Like, did you notice any synchronicities between the two as far as things leading up to it, if that makes any sense?
Well, I could say I noticed, at least with the nighttime stuff and the sleep paralysis and all of that, I did notice the same type of feeling that would come over me, and sort of a high-pitched sound would start to come on. It almost sounded like a jet engine, but a little bit higher in pitch. So I noticed that each time with that situation.
Okay.
And as far as things kind of stringing together, I mean, there was a theme for a while in my teen years of seeing these beings and encountering them, hearing them. But that stuff actually didn't really see that type of being anymore after high school, I would say. And I did move away to go to art school, and I always kind of thought the change of location was keeping that from happening to me. So I don't know.
Okay. And okay. Apocalypse is
we got some
that's an interesting conversation. That there might be a story behind that in the chat room there, but we'll get to that later. Okay, so what did let me ask you this. Even before the first time when you were you were 15 and the three gray beings were there and sleep paralysis and all that. Before that point in time, did you ever even think about ETs or anything like that, or was that something that was even in your wheelhouse, or is that what kicked it into high gear? Was that happening?
Also, or were you religious at all? Just to throw that in.
Well, to answer the first question, let's see now. Yeah, I mean, there were things that happened that I couldn't distinguish whether they were dreams or what was going on. I mean, I remember being probably about 11 or 12 and being outside at night in my nightgown and not knowing why. And I don't know if that actually really physically happened or if I was dreaming it or what was going on. So there was that kind of thing going on. And just strange. I used to have weird electrical things going on, like blowing out light bulbs, and any watch I ever had never worked, and that kind of thing. So I had some odd stuff, but really seemed to escalate through the teen years and go on from there. And as far as religion, I was raised Catholic, and there was a family, there was like a neighborhood daycare going on down the street from me. And so that family, they were always taking us to their Presbyterian church functions. Well, me in particular, because they were watching me more than the other kids sometimes, like on weekends and things like that. So they would take me to the Presbyterian functions and, masses or whatever. And around the age of 11, my brother, when he went off to college, he converted to, I think, Baptist first. And he sort of tried to get me interested in that and take me to church. And there was that whole thing going on. So I had like 3 different religions sort of thrown at me as a kid.
Right. And same here. I've had a little mix of all of them. Or several of them anyway. But now, so here comes a question from my good friend Derek. He wants to know, do you think, I'm guessing he's talking about specifically those entities when you were 15 that were at the edge of your bed. He wants to know, do you think that they're from space, or are they from here, or did you have any sense at all of where they were from, or any inkling? And we've got about 40 seconds.
Okay. At the time, I thought they were aliens, and I guess I didn't answer the second part of your question, where I did believe in aliens to some extent as a kid, but I didn't have a whole lot of front loading of information at the time. And oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. In fact, we kind of need to.
Yes, that's okay.
Yeah,
let's reorganize.
Yeah,
Top it out.
We'll tap back at that question when we get back, and then also I'm gonna switch the subject after that when we get back, because there's so many different topics that you are experienced in, and I want to try to, it's almost like a buffet of topics. I want to sample a little bit of everything. So we'll try to do that when we get back. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Shift Happens here for the French FM. I'm your host, Gigi, along with our co-host, JP.
Are you hungry? Is that what I'm hearing here?
Yes, I'm very hungry. Absolutely. I haven't eaten since yesterday, my friend. And but that's all good. And we'll be back here in just a few short minutes with JJ from Reine de Blanc. In just a few short commercially minutes. Don't go anywhere. Ahoy there, it's Gigi from Shift Happens, and you're shaking some conversational tail feather to the Fringe FM.
Thousands of people are having paranormal experiences with ghosts, demons, shadow people, dogmen, Bigfoot, and more. Their stories need to be told, and they are being told. Dark Waters, the renowned storyteller, invites you to join at IamDarkWaters.com. For just a few dollars a month, you can listen to some of the most hair-raising and compelling stories on the planet. You'll have access to real-life stories told by Dark Waters, thousands of hours of content. Their encounters are being told, and told by the best, at IamDarkWaters.com. Listen to stories like The Rabbit Man, the Dogman encounter in Silas, Alabama, The Man with No Face, The Other Woman, A Day Ahead of the Devil, Dogman Murder in Hurricane Ida, Even a story of someone trying to kill a dogman. Louisiana water demon stories. Sign up today and become a member at IamDarkWaters.com. That's IamDarkWaters.com.
Hey there, this is Jess, host of The Jess Rogie Show, and you're listening to KTLK Digital Broadcasting, Fringe FM.
Musicians experience a lot of frustration with music marketing and promotion. They have no idea how to get their music heard, and they're spending hours sending emails, making phone calls, and hitting up their friends to promote them. With our industry-powered digital marketing platform, we can set up your media plan in minutes. Our team will automatically distribute your music across all the best channels, so you can focus on actually making the music. Submit your music today on our website at mymusicpromoter.com. That's mymusicpromoter.com.
Have you suffered in silence or experienced stress from a paranormal experience? Even if it happened 20 years ago, when thinking or talking about it today still makes you feel sick to your stomach or makes your heart beat faster, or you suddenly can't breathe. Maybe you even feel those old familiar signs of a panic attack trying to reach the surface. You could have unprocessed emotional responses. Those reactions of terror and trauma are no different than living through a horrible assault, childhood abuse, or a terrible car accident. It can be nearly impossible to find help. The very instance of seeing a ghost or encountering a cryptid could be clinically described as seeing or hearing things that aren't there. You could be considered psychotic, or at best, you're just not taken seriously. Out of a growing mountain of research, the National Institute for Integrative Healthcare showed that 8 out of 10 veterans who completed just 6 one-hour EFT sessions no longer tested positive for PTSD. If you've had paranormal trauma, you can contact Metaphorical Archaeology by calling 214-995-3754. Again, that's 214-995-3754 for a discreet consultation.
KTLK Digital Broadcasting. We rock the paranormal talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the Fringe FM, this is Shift Happens. I'm your host, Gigi, along with our co-host, JP. I think you're muted, buddy. can't hear anything?
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Yes, we are back. I'm very happy that my voice can actually travel over the sound now. I don't know how that happened. We fixed it.
I hope so. I hope so. And all right, a lot of stuff happening in the chat rooms there, and yeah, my apologies, folks. I have not been paying attention to the chat rooms until that break, and there's all kinds of Erics in the chat room, all spelled with a K. Surprisingly, I wonder who that is doing all of those.
Oh no, do not.
And there you go. All right, we'll let them hash all that out. And yes, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And real quick, just a quick shout out to one of our great sponsors, one of our longest running sponsors of the show, the good folks over there at Got Hemp Extracts, makers of some of the best CBD products in the world. Why is it the best? Because they use the nanoparticulate process, which only a handful of companies in the world are able to pull off, and which just simply means on a molecular level, it's broken down much, much smaller so that you can absorb it much, much more efficiently. They have everything from pre-rolled CBD joints to regular CBD oil, water solubles. They have cold brew canned coffee with about 2 days worth of CBD in each can, and gummies and everything else. And if you go to gothempextracts.com, use the promo code SHIFTHAPPENS, and you will save yourself 10% off of your order, plus free shipping. Once again, get their white can status. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Even if you don't get it from them, get it from somewhere. But you should probably get it from them and help us out. Use our promo code. But CBD is great nonetheless, no matter where you get it from. So just being honest, but it does help us if you go to gothempextracts.com and use the promo code ShiftHappens. Now, so real quick, well, maybe not real quick, but JJ, are you there? Are you ready? You ready to go?
I am here. I'm ready.
All right. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go. So I actually want to ask you about. So I've had this sort of, you might call it a reoccurring dream, but that's not really the right term. It's more of, I have a bunch of dreams that keep occurring in the same place, if that makes any sense. Ever since I was a kid, growing up all the way today, I'm 34 years old now, and I still have, every dream is different things happen, but it takes place in the same area. And it's almost like a mock version of my hometown. It's like a forest town, which is, I don't know, I grew up in this place called Kingwood, which is northeast of Houston. It's basically, the slogan is the livable forest. It's literally, they cut down just enough trees to put some houses there and here and put some roads, and there's a little shopping center, and that's about it. It's a really intricate, like when you fly in, if you're flying into Houston, you'll fly right over it. You can't even see the town. It just looks like a forest. It's literally a forest town. But so in my dreams, and the reason why I bring this up is because I just had one of these last night. But here's what I'm saying though, is in these dreams that take place in this same mock version of a neighborhood of where I grew up, the roads are always the same. I live in the same house in that dream every time. I have the same circle of friends. And I also, Now, this is what's really hard to explain, is in these dreams that take place there, I have years worth of memories that only exist in that dream. They're not memories from my real life, but in the dream, I have memories, if that makes any sense. Like, for example, last night we went on in my dream, that is, me and a couple of my friends that have always been my friends in this reoccurring dream. We went camping and we were just sharing stories. And in some of them go what seemed to be like 5 or 10 years back, anywhere in between. And it's almost like, I don't know. It's almost like it's not really. It's like I have a hard time believing that it's just my brain making stuff up. It really kind of seems like I'm tapping into another reality of some sort on a semi-regular basis. Have you ever experienced anything? Am I making any sense at all?
Oh, totally, 100%. I've had countless dreams, and with the setting being the same, I've had a bunch of my childhood house and neighborhood, like you're talking about, but totally different experiences going on. And I've always remembered my dreams as if they happened in the waking life. So I have all those years of memories too of the same kind of situation. And then I've had other settings, these other places that repeat.
And that's the thing too, is I forgot to mention, is they're not only are they lucid, the ones that take place there, not only are they lucid, but they're also very quite vivid. Like it's really hard to explain, but
it does sound like, I mean, I'm in the same vein of thought, thinking that we're perhaps maybe living or just, having a different experience of consciousness in a different plane or dimension or something in a different realm that's sort of parallel to what we're in now. It does feel like we're in a different place.
Yeah, it almost seems like I'm temporarily, like, my consciousness is transferred into some other version of me in some parallel reality or something. And another thing that really blows my mind about it is a couple of times ago when I was in that same area, in that same dream, with the same friends that I've always had in that dream state. One of the dreams, we went and saw a concert, and we saw one of my favorite bands in the world in real life, but they were in the dream. The only difference was they were playing songs that it sounded like something they would have, like it would have been one of their songs, but it's not a real song that exists in this life. Like, and I'm talking like the bass, the guitar, the keyboards, the drums, even the lyrics and the vocals were all perfectly, like, it was professional quality music. And I just feel like there's no way that my brain is just making that up on the fly. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I must be tapping into some other reality of some sort. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, making a lot of sense. And I also, I have things, most of my dreams, I've been like, how did I come up with that? I always think like, oh, was it maybe from a movie or a show or something? We have a lot of these things that are ingrained in us from childhood, but at the same time, they're really way out there, way beyond my everyday experiences usually. So I feel the same way. And also, I would say probably 80% of my dreams, I am someone else in them. I've been an old black man. I've been a young Asian girl. I've been all different ages. I've been different people. I see my reflection in mirrors and windows, and I can see that I'm someone else. So I feel like I'm experiencing these places through different avatars, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, because, I mean, I'm sure, I'm sure you know what I mean when I say, like, because there's sometimes we just have wacky dreams, right? That don't really mean much. They're just kind of crazy.
Right.
But then there's these other dreams like we're talking about, It's like, it seems like sometimes we're tapping into another reality, whereas other times we're just, our brains are just doing whatever, if that makes sense.
They're taking a break, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of fluff dreams that are just kind of nonsensical and kind of annoying.
Yeah.
And then you have these like epic encounters where what you're saying with the music and everything, I've had that too with songs that don't exist, that sound like they have to be real songs, but it's nothing you really heard before or isn't a real song here. So yeah.
Yeah, because there's no, I mean, even though I am a musician, but I don't, even as a musician, I don't work, like, that's beyond my capability. Like, a fully constructed song with lyrics and everything, perfectly played, and it sounds good, too. Like, it was badass shift, and, but it's in this dream state. It's like, I really wonder if we're, if we're actually, kind of like a parallel universe kind of thing, or maybe that's not the right term, but you know what I mean?
Well, it seems like a parallel something. It's it's parallel reality, perhaps, or realm, or something like that.
Yeah, or some kind of different dimension or something.
Perhaps.
Yeah, and I trip out every time I have one of those dreams, which I probably like 2 or 3 times a year. I have one of those dreams where I'm back in that same town, that same little universe, with the same group of friends that are always there, and my house is on the same street. Like it's like a fictional town with fictional people, except I always go to the same place. It's just hard to explain, but
I do have one quick question from the audience here, and that was, have you ever seen shadow figures?
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of shadow people, beings, whatever you want to call them.
What kind of scenario has that happened to? Like, were you just in a typical dream state, or?
Well, a lot of it happened during sleep paralysis, but I have seen them in the waking hours as well, and encountered them with a few other people. So, let me think now. Probably the most terrifying situation was I was sharing an apartment with some friends, and my one friend took the living room as his bedroom, and there was no door, and the landlord wouldn't allow a door up, so he put a curtain up. And I was coming down the hall to, I guess, get something out of the living room, and my friend was taking a nap, and he had left the curtain open, and the TV was going. And as I was passing by, I saw this, it looked like a humanoid, but it was a shadow. It was very kind of wispy, and it came out of the TV towards him, towards his bed, and was just standing there. And I couldn't see any features or anything like that. It was just standing in front of the TV, in front of him, facing him. And it was I would have to say almost 7 feet tall looking. It was
Wow.
a very tall, thin being, and I freaked the F out and just took off down the hall and went back in my room and shut the door. And there had been many experiences like that over the years.
By the way, I've stood next to this guy named Dale Swaim. He used to be a center for the Milwaukee Bucks, I think. He was an NBA player, 7'6", and it scared the hell out. He was so tall.
Yeah, it's kind of freaky. I actually met the actor that was in My Giant, and he's a giant. I think he's well over 7 feet tall. In one of my retail stints, I helped him and his wife, and she was also like 6'4" or something. But I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I've never seen anyone with a head that big. It was just incredible.
Yeah, but have those in your dreams and all that.
Right. That's a whole other story.
Nice. So I guess that does, bring up the question though. Have you been just, have you woken up just with, terrified from any of these sort of deep dreams, or has it always been, something that you can relate with and you're positive about it, or how's that go?
Well,
I don't know if that made
I
sense.
would say pretty much most of all of the sleep paralysis episodes were not a good experience. There were always some kind of entities coming. It seemed like everybody wanted something from me. Or I would just see terrible things, like things that looked really demonic and just awful, bloody nastiness for a long time. But, I've also had really pleasant dreams too, and very vivid, very detailed, and a lot of lucid dreams where I'm flying above water and things like that, where I can kind of steer where I want to go. So although I had a lot of nightmares and a lot of sleep paralysis, there's been a lot of great stuff too.
Nice. Some good with the bad.
Right, just like life.
Yeah, totally. So I know we're making our way through, and we haven't even gotten to the jewelry. Or did you say what you needed to say about it yet? Or I was just curious because I just saw a picture of it again, and I think it's really incredible stuff.
Oh, thank you. Well, I could say, I guess I kind of perfected a technique called reticulation. So that's something I use a lot in my work, and it looks like plate tectonics or mountain ranges where you heat the metal repeatedly and use a jeweler's acid. And if you have a metal that's an alloy like sterling or brass in particular, it causes the two alloys to become unstable and they start crinkling and buckling. So it makes a really unique organic texture every time. So I use a lot of that in my bands, and also the settings of the stones, which I haven't really seen a lot of that going on. So
No, it's incredible. I mean, is this it gives it almost like is it shadowing the metals? Is that what's going on? Or because some are darker and some have like a rainbowish sort of iridescent.
Yeah, it depends on what I'm going for, if it's for a client or something. A lot of them, I call it scorching, where I just burn the heck out of the metal and I don't clean it off, and I just kind of maybe buff it a little bit or sand it a little bit to show some highlights on things and give it some contrast, and then I'll polish it or seal it with something so it maintains the sort of crispy look.
Nice. What kind of stones and gems do you work with, or is it just, or do you go out to, I guess I'll say
everything, really everything. I use a lot of big specimens that most people won't use in jewelry. I've had a lot of magazine shoots now, and I had some pieces on the album cover for Zola Jesus. And this last year came out in May, her album Archon. I've got quite a few pieces in that shoot. So, yeah, I use a lot of big pieces, but I do use faceted and cut and sort of more, you know, I don't really necessarily like to describe myself as a jeweler because I'm more of a metal artist, but I do some more traditional work too for people like wedding bands and things.
Yeah, I'm looking at that, and it's totally an interesting, unique style. And I'm not a big jewelry fan, but I really like the look of that stuff.
Thank you.
Gigi, where are we? Are we heading towards another? We got a couple minutes, right?
What do you want from me? Dude,
Good
so
question. Question. I'm doing open lines tonight. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I think we'll open the lines for the last segment. Yeah, but I do. What do you make of Deja Vu, JJ? What do you think? Because we've all heard the typical academia explanation of, yeah, it's just a little misfiring in your brain and whatever. But do you think it's that, or do you think there's something more to it than that?
Oh, I think there's definitely something more to it. I think that it's probably something that when it's happening, it's probably something that we have experienced before, and we're maybe getting a quick recall of it. Or it could be that we're, again, having some kind of different timeline thing going on where perhaps the timelines or the planes or whatever we want to call them, dimensions, are sort of overlapping in a way, maybe something like that.
Yeah, because I mean, I've had, oh boy, we have to go to a break, but I've had deja vus. There's been 2 times where they've like, usually deja vus, it lasts for like a few seconds, right? But right. I've had there was one in particular that lasted for about 8 minutes. It was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. Maybe we'll get into that when we get back, but we do have to take a commercial break right this very now, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Shift Happens here for the Fringe FM. I'm your host, Gigi, along with our co-host, JP.
What up?
Yeah, man. And we're here tonight with JJ from Reine de Blanc, and we'll be back here in just a few short commercially minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Tired of going out and having fun on Friday nights? Perfect. Because that's when our show, Shift Happens, airs live every Friday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, that's 9 p.m. Central, right here on the Fringe FM. You get there while you can status.
Listen, as we explore the mysteries of the universe, the unknown, high strangeness, consciousness, and our human potential, Lighting the Void is an eclectic program that strives to ignite the late night with stimulating conversations. Join us on the Fringe FM.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Have you suffered in silence or experienced stress from a paranormal experience? Even if it happened 20 years ago, when thinking or talking about it today still makes you feel sick to your stomach or makes your heart beat faster, or you suddenly can't breathe. Maybe you even feel those old familiar signs of a panic attack trying to reach the surface. You could have unprocessed emotional responses. Those reactions of terror and trauma are no different than living through a horrible assault, childhood abuse, or a terrible car accident. It can be nearly impossible to find help. The very instance of seeing a ghost or encountering a cryptid could be clinically described as seeing or hearing things that aren't there. You could be considered psychotic, or at best, you're just not taken seriously. Out of a growing mountain of research, the National Institute for Integrative Healthcare showed that 8 out of 10 veterans who completed just 6 one-hour EFT sessions no longer tested positive for PTSD. If you've had paranormal trauma, you can contact Metaphorical Archaeology by calling 214-995-3754. Again, that's 214-995-3754 for a discreet consultation.
Musicians experience a lot of frustration with music marketing and promotion. They have no idea how to get their music heard, and they're spending hours sending emails, making phone calls, and hitting up their friends to promote them. With our industry-powered digital marketing platform, we can set up your media plan in minutes. Our team will automatically distribute your music across all the best channels, so you can focus on actually making the music. Submit your music today on our website at mymusicpromoter.com. That's mymusicpromoter.com.
Thousands of people are having paranormal experiences with ghosts, demons, shadow people, dogmen, Bigfoot, and more. Their stories need to be told, and they are being told. Dark Waters, the renowned storyteller, invites you to join at IamDarkWaters.com. For just a few dollars a month, you can listen to some of the most hair-raising and compelling stories on the planet. You'll have access to real-life stories told by Dark Waters, thousands of hours of content. Their encounters are being told, and told by the best, at IamDarkWaters.com. Listen to stories like the Rabbit Man, the Dogman encounter in Silas, Alabama, the Man with No Face, the Other Woman, A Day Ahead of the Devil, Dogman Murder in Hurricane Ida, even a story of someone trying to kill a dogman. Louisiana water demon stories. Sign up today and become a member at IamDarkWaters.com. That's IamDarkWaters.com.
This is Tom Sherman. Down here at Banning College, we're promoting a blood drop. Oh, shit.
Welcome to the Sound of America. You're listening to AM 580. Lay back, the sheep, little lamb, little lamb, little lamb, little lamb, little lamb, little lamb.
Steve sold Adam the apple. Don't be so to my base! Cannot be saved. Follow me and good to know that he's walking with me. Big rock is a weapon.
The devil is a black storm.
True. Into the fall. Let him cast the first stone. Jesus. And you have fallen into the love that needs to be designed by the Lord. Hallelujah, y'all. I want to hear a couple of hallelujahs.
And we are back. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. For the Fringe FM, this is Shift Happens. I'm your host, Gigi, along with our co-host, JP.
I am a robot.
Sometimes I think you are. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're here tonight with JJ from Reine de Blanc. And before we get into anything, let's get into this. We've got... so I did post a call-in number in both the chat rooms. And we have our first caller already. And that's none other than Eric Awakening Man. Good friend of mine. What's happening, Eric? You're muted, buddy.
Hey, guys. I just want to apologize to JJ because Gigi has somehow dragged this JP character into the interview and almost ruined it, but I came in to save the day.
Thank you.
Well, hello. Thank you for coming in.
All right.
Prepare to get bored, JJ. Here we go.
JP's so jealous because he knows I'm going to ask the best questions, right? JJ, is it okay if I ask you a few questions, please? And I'm going to be very kind.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I got like 3 or 4 questions, but my one question is, in your family, whether it's your father, your mother, or your grandparents, were any of them involved in any kind of military service?
Yes. My great uncle, who was basically like a third grandfather to me, he was in the military, and as well as his son, my cousin, and then his father, so my great grandfather, and further back on that side. So that was all my mom's side, and then my dad's side. There seems to be several people too on that side, but further back, a couple of generations.
Interesting. So my other question would be it's kind of a religious-based question. Are you or have you ever personally or anybody in your family practiced any kind of we'll just call it a religion, or we'll call it any kind of anything that would involve rituals and things of that nature that maybe the general population would frown upon?
As far as religion, I was raised Catholic, but I don't practice any religion now, and I don't personally do any kind of rituals or anything. Like I'm not practicing witchcraft or anything, but I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know that there really is anything like that, though.
That's good news, because I was concerned that there could be some sort of some people call it satanic. I'm not saying you would personally choose that, but some sort of satanic influence. But it seems like maybe this is linked through your family's military connections. A lot of stories that are shared. Go ahead. Masons.
There's Masons, so
there
it's
you
possible.
Go. That would be my next question.
It is possible. I just don't have a lot of. I've had a few strange memories, but that's about it with that. But I highly suspect something like that.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, I'll pause now. Thank you for that, JJ.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, and you're more than welcome to stay as long as you want, Eric. So
very nice questions indeed. Do we have any others, though?
Just a lot of shit talking in the
chat
room.
Did notice that.
I got some more questions then. So it was mentioned that you believe that it's possible that you might have been involved in what you call a MyLab or military abductions, and it's my understanding, based on my research and friends that I have actually, who are actual experiencers, very similar to you in many ways, who at some point in time they were abducted. But not by aliens in this case, so they were abducted by military people. And then whatever it was that these military people, they call them military. I'm not saying they're United States military. I'm just saying military type people that then take these abductee type contactee people, and then they try to figure out what it is about them that's causing these ET to visit. And so that's like a double traumatization. Do you have any kind of memories of any kind of a military type of situation where you were taken and you thought that it could have been ET related, but maybe not, because you also saw military people in your dream state or whatever?
Oh yeah, I've had several dreams throughout my life having men come to the house and that kind of thing. And then in my adult years, I'd say in the last 5 years, I've had a lot of dreams about military people. You know, they look like they're, I don't know, they look like a hybrid between police and military and something else. And they've used some kind of scanner on the back of my neck towards the base of my skull in the dreams. And they wipe my memories or put screen memories in. And I want to add also that my great uncle was doing contracted work for NASA, and he was a test engineer, and he worked on the space shuttle and the lunar landing module and a bunch of other projects, and his son did as well. So there was a lot of, and SpaceX too. So there's a lot of that going on in the family.
Wow. And what's your take on, the whole moon landing? Was it an interesting experience for you?
I was
to know
about to
about
ask the same thing, my friend.
Well, it's a natural.
Oh, well,
there.
my viewpoints have changed vastly. When I was a kid, my uncle, he had a sort of a dark room in his cellar, and he would take me down there and show me different photographs and stuff. And there was a time where he showed me actual prints of people, black and white prints of astronauts on the moon. And I don't know if he got them from friends or whatever. He wasn't working for NASA directly, but he certainly was working with those people. And so he showed me some of that stuff. And of course, I thought it was real because my favorite uncle was showing me these pictures and telling me about it. And now I don't know. I don't think it happened. I think that it's my views on space have changed quite a bit. I don't think it's anything at all what we've been taught it is.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. And
like the whole vacuum thing, I guess.
Right, and even with the grays and all that from before that we were talking about, I see them as either more interdimensionals, or it was some kind of military abduction, or a mix of both for sure now.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean,
have you considered?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, PG.
No, you go ahead.
Have you considered what's called the hybrid program? Are you familiar with that at all?
I've read, I don't know specifically about that, but I've read a lot of things about the hybrid stuff that goes on, or supposedly goes on.
Do you feel like even though you're here speaking with us now, that you don't feel like you're literally part of your family? Like there's some sort of disconnect that maybe I'm not trying to make a funny out of this.
Oh, no, I'm just laughing because I do feel that way. I always have.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, because I have talked to people. I have a friend that's a female that she told me, and I can't verify this. I can't prove it. I don't know that I believe it, but her father worked out at Groom Lake, and her father told her that she was spawned, and she basically determined in her mind that there's a program where they're creating hybrid humans literally on Earth, and there's humans involved in this program, and it goes, and a lot of these military families have kind of given up or donated their children to these programs, and I would hope that didn't happen to you. Do you have any children, by the way? I don't know if anyone's asked you.
No, I don't. I developed endometriosis, and that runs in my family. And I had a childhood best friend who also grew up in that area and had the same experience as me. And she also has endometriosis. So no kids. Well, not for me anyway.
Okay, well, along that note, I feel like this is the best time to get this question in. This comes from Jen Hawkins in the chat room. She wants to know, she says, if the guest doesn't feel that it's too personal of a question, have you experienced or have any ongoing hard to diagnose or mysterious illnesses growing up?
Yes. Well, I have unfortunately, a lot of autoimmune issues, and
so do I.
Those developed later in life, but wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay.
So as a kid, I had these episodes where the bottom of my feet would be burning, like just on fire. I'd be crying, and you couldn't really, they might be a little pink or red, but you couldn't really see any, rashes or anything like that would be causing that kind of burning pain. And my parents had taken me to the doctor a bunch to try to figure out what was going on, and they never figured it out. And eventually, thankfully, it went away. But then I developed all kinds of other issues as I got older. And basically all autoimmune issues.
Yeah, I've got according to my doctor, I'm an autoimmune nightmare.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that's he literally said that to my face.
Wow.
But
Dr. Doom.
It is what it is. But then he followed up by saying, I am also. So
that helped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when
really
I got older,
much,
I started having severe migraines and then seizures in 2016. I never had anything like that before, and that's where it had escalated to. So I can understand being a nightmare.
Yeah. And, I wonder.
How are we looking on calls, by the way? I thought we had a second caller, no?
Oh,
Nope.
did we?
I thought I might be wrong though.
Well, if we did, it's long. Yeah, if somebody tried to call in, definitely call back, and we'll pick it up for sure. But yeah. Anyway, now I'm really curious. I'm curious about the whole, because you mentioned, even in your bio, you mentioned, JJ, that you have some family military folks that were involved in secret space / aeronautics technology fields. Is that something that you can talk about openly, or is that something that perhaps maybe not?
Well, I kind of, as I said before, I mean, I could kind of detail the projects they worked on, but I don't have really any of the information as far as in-depth things that happened. I mean, that was stuff that I was kind of too young for most of it to have it explained to me, and I'm sure a lot of it was top secret stuff they couldn't really talk about too much. But
do you at least know who, or rather, can you maybe perhaps say which corporate, was it Skunk Works, or was it
I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
my uncle, I could say he worked for Thiokol, and I'm trying to remember what some of the other companies were. I'm drawing a blank now suddenly, but Thiokol was a major one. And it's interesting because in New Jersey, you don't realize there's a lot of that industry going on with kind of ferromagnetic technologies. So there's a bunch of companies that, they were kind of subcontracting to. But I'm trying to think of, believe the other company that my cousin worked for was Murata, and they do a lot of, it's really tied into military and Navy and things like that. He had worked on some, I think, hydraulic things for some ships, and I do believe they still do work with engines of different kinds for air and sea craft.
Okay, so let me ask you, what do you think about what Bob Lazar says about, and I'm not necessarily like if his whole account of his, who he worked for and when he worked for, and not necessarily that, but more specifically the way that he described how the technology worked. Do you know what I mean? Like,
somewhat. I'm not a huge Bob Lazar buff, but I did watch a documentary, I think about 3 or 4 years ago. And initially, I kind of was just leaning towards him being more credible, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Gigi's been pushing this dude for too long. Gigi, the time is now to stop.
No, well, I mean, there's, well, he keeps getting more vindicated and vindicated.
Not by me.
I think there's something there. It seems like he has had some real encounters of some sort. So,
I mean, he was talking about Element 115 back in the 80s, and then and everybody told him it was nonsense, and then all of a sudden, bam, they discovered exactly Element 115. And then not to mention the real kicker for me was Los Alamos Labs tried to say he didn't work there, but then George Knapp actually went and investigated, found up an old directory, and sure enough h's name was in there. And,
oh wow.
Yeah, I think if you dig deep enough it's going to turn up somewhere.
So it's very clear that they tried to erase his, or they did erase his record.
Which is not surprising. That happens a lot with these people.
Yeah, and then they ask him about the whole, well, what about your schooling? It's like, well, they erased that too. It's like, well, yeah, they already erased my work record. Like, what makes you think they wouldn't erase my school record too?
Right.
And honestly, you know what? Just as a personal recommendation, and actually anybody that's listening right now, the Bob Lazar documentary that you're talking about that you saw a few years ago, which in fact, I think, Eric, weren't you there too? We were there for the whole premiere. I'm pretty sure you were there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that documentary is good. I mean, it's okay. But you know what's even better than that is when now, whether you like him or not, Joe Rogan had Bob Lazar on his podcast, and you got to hear Bob Lazar talk unadulterated, just completely live, real conversation for 3 hours. And whatever they were trying to prove with that documentary, that podcast with Joe Rogan did a way better job of proving his points, in my opinion. So if you've never seen that, I would highly recommend watching that. And he drops a lot of details that he left out in the documentary, or they just didn't ask him in the documentary.
Personally, I avoided that podcast because I thought he's such a full of bunk. But I'm gonna finally watch that and give it a fair shake.
Okay, how about this, JP?
I will too.
How about this, JP? Remember how I told you about the Rabbits podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
But
okay. So if you took my advice on that, take my advice on this. Watch that episode. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can I ask JJ another question? Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
So, was there ever a time where you were able to be pregnant, and maybe you might have been pregnant for 2 or 3 months, and then you weren't pregnant after that?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Now, has anybody connected to your family ever come to you at any point in, let's say, recent years and said that it kind of like says, well, we want you to do this, or we want you to do that, or we'd like you to do this? In other words, trying to coerce you into kind of getting involved with something that you've said no to, or you know what I mean? Any kind of manipulation going on in your life?
Oh yeah, quite a bit, but not with family members. I had made a friend when I was living in Seattle who I became very close to, and it ended up being a very toxic, dangerous dynamic between us, which it started involving more people, and it is something that, having gone through therapy to try to work through some things, because this was an 11-year span of basically being a prisoner with this person, just a complete monster, a gaslighting, crazy narcissist. And so there was a lot of manipulation with that, but going through those experiences and seeing a therapist, they kind of termed it as a cult abuse dynamic because other people were involved, and I couldn't leave. I couldn't escape. It was really bad. And I got out of that situation about 2012.
Nice.
All right. Oh,
Do we
man.
have
Speaking
any
of
last
2012,
chance for? Go for it.
man, I had. There's so much, because, man, we're at. I guess what I'm saying is we are out of time, and I wish we could get in. There's so many more things I wanted to get into tonight, but unfortunately we don't have enough time, so we kind of have to wrap it up right now. So if you want, we usually hang out for a few minutes after the show, but if you gotta go too, that's all cool too. But where can everybody well, for one, we've got all of her links, multiple links to several podcasts that she's done on other shows over there at shifthappensradio.com. Under the guest info page, you can see her whole bio and a bunch of different links to all kinds of awesome podcasts that she's been on before. But other than that, where, as well as her Instagram account and her Twitter account, all that stuff is over there. But with all that said, is there anything else? Like, where can everybody keep up with you? What's the best way for our audience to keep up with everything that is JJ?
I would say, well, I do have a website for the jewelry, which is rendeblancbrand.com. I think that's in the show notes. And then either Instagram or Twitter, I'm pretty active on, so you can. The Instagram is more artwork and things like that, and Twitter is a mix. But I do obviously encounter the woo and the weird on there, and sort of interact with people on that. So it's probably the best.
All right.
And I'm putting that link right now in the chat.
Thank you. I always forget what the handle is because I've had to change it a couple times.
Right on. All right. Well, again, JJ, thank you so much for coming on tonight. This has been a blast, and I'll tell you what, we're just quite simply going to have you on again. Cause,
I'd love to. Thank you.
We barely scratched the surface, as far as I'm concerned. So,
it's true.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed being on.
All right. Yeah, and thank you again. And with
Thanks,
that,
Brad.
We've got to get, thanks to Brad, absolutely. And with that, we got to get right the hell on out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Shift Happens here for the Fringe FM. This show is hosted and produced by yours truly, Gigi. You can follow me on Twitter at GGRabbit1 and follow the show over at Shift Happens Pod, or just go to shifthappensradio.com. And all of our social media links are right there. Get their white can status. Co-host is JP. Where can they follow you, JP?
Well, every Friday night right here. And propertymark.com.
propertyofmars.com. Absolutely. Associate producer is Brad Harris. You can follow him on at ADS Brad Harris on Twitter. And as always, all blames and faults go to Fran. That's right. Hashtag Fran's fault. Thanks for tuning in, folks. But don't go too far, because coming up next, right here on the Fringe FM, is Lighting the Void with Joe, Mother, Bleepin', Roop. And then after that, we've got the Jess Rogie Show. Wave bye-bye, folks. We'll see you next week with John Polk for a 6th year anniversary. All right, guys, have a great rest of your weekend, and don't do anything I wouldn't. All right, cheers to you.